Well, on Steve Bannon versus Jared Kushner, I would just posit that blood is thicker than water. Um, but that's something that I think is also unique to this White House that we obviously have not dealt with in previous White Houses. I do, in the case of, look, I have frequently, I think, been at least tried to be self-critical about covering the people that work for the people who are making the decisions, because I tend to think that, you know, what the principals do and say is more important than the infighting. As much as we may like juicy stories around kind of who's up, who's down, that at the end of the day, what the president is actually doing is what matters. But I think in the case of this president, the reason these questions about who is actually in his ear matter is that he does seem to be somebody who is very influenced by the last person that he spoke to. And you can kind of see, you can almost hear that influence play out in real time. When you listen to the president talk about any given issue, you can almost sometimes guess, oh, I think he heard that from, you know, this person that we know that he was just behind closed doors in a meeting with. And so from that perspective, I do think it matters who it is in the White House that the president, is listening to at any given time. Now, you know, we have not yet seen, we saw obviously the Corey Lewandowski shakeup during the course of the campaign was a major turning point. We have not really seen yet at the White House anybody holding a major job who has, you know, made an exit. We have talked a lot about, you know, how things have shifted with time.
Mike Flynn, the only one.
Mike Flynn, I guess, yes. That of course would be the one major exception to that. But, you know, even in that instance, you know, I would argue it was because it was publicly discovered that he had misled the vice president. I do think that there's likely to be some burnout among White House staff sooner rather than later. They're still very understaffed in the White House. People are working extraordinary hours. There's an extraordinary level of stress, and I would
higher than usual, having been someone who's been around, higher than usual in the White House?
Yes, much higher. I mean, look, it's always stressful, but, you know, this is a White House that has dealt with stories about, you know, people combing through their BlackBerries to try to figure out if they're the ones who are leaking to the press. I mean, that's kind of a climate of fear going to work every day that doesn't always exist.